Suplex and Sorcery is a fun, funny sword and sorcery and wrestling novella by June Orchid Parker, one of 4 in the New Edge Sword and Sorcery novellas crowdfund running on BackerKit from September 9th through 30th, where you can get exclusives like a 4x6 postcard of the cover art, or pledge for things like a short story critique by June herself. For now, why not get a preview by hearing me read the first chapter? Chapter 1. How I Learned to Dislike Cats. To my people among the Nemavians, while you ready yourselves to break bulls' necks, roast their meat, and protect yourself from a ravenous winter, I, Varica, compose this letter with the help of the scribe Tithes of Metronium, the dearest man ever born in this city. If he hadn't endeared himself to me, I would have suplexed him. That's how you know I'm telling the truth. What does the word suplex mean, you ask? Whoever reads this letter aloud, gather everyone you know, women, children, men, cousins, aunts, uncles, all my people among the Nemavians, and let me tell you the secret of the suplex. With this weapon, I destroyed the wickedest of men who sought to terrorize me. It will take me some time to reach that part of the story, of course. Settle in and make yourselves comfortable. At the start of spring, as soon as the weather in Metronium turned nice, those of us in the Athenian Wrestling League got to work. At the local amphitheater, some folks worked to construct the ring and its components. The iron frame and turnbuckles, the mat, the floorboards, the ropes, the special oils and unguents, all the things I've told you about in previous letters. I haven't learned what these special oils do, however. Cleon, whom we called the Master of the Ring, refused to tell me. Other people say they put extra spring in the ropes, which I can believe, and soften the floorboards of the ring, which I can't. New wrestlers walk away with one big tortoise shell of a bruise on their backs. If they persist, like I did, they do grow a certain resistance to that kind of injury. Many things hurt me worse nowadays, such as children who kick me in the shins. The AWL had much more to do than build the ring. Posters and graffiti went up to announce the first exhibition. Tickets made from stone were later sold to the public. We wrestlers needed to train and exercise. Some of the other girls and I spent hours and days lifting weights and running in the gymnasium. We drew circles in the sand for wrestling inside. We also drove small ladders into the soil and practiced diving off of them, which the gymnasium owners didn't like till someone paid them enough to change their minds. Nothing brightens an Athenian's day like shiny objects, especially silver coins. I hope you won't take that personally, Tithes. Preparations took 2 months. In the meantime, we wrestlers conferred with Cleon regarding the shape of the coming year. Who might return and who might debut this season? Who might wrestle whom? Friends and acquaintances from previous years agreed to come back. Menandra, Carnia the she-wolf, Usha and her brother Surath, and many others. One day, Cleon called me aside from my workout. No sooner had he drawn me into a hallway than he wrinkled his nostrils. Sweaty and hot as I was, I must have smelled like overcooked beef. What did he expect? If you come at a hard-working woman thinking you'll catch a nice gulp of cinnamon and myrrh, it's your own fault if she smells like freshly wiped asshole. She didn't set your expectations. Aside from wrinkling his nose at me, Cleon smiled with a twinkle in his eye. Varica, he said, you've done a wonderful job of winning over the crowd this past year. People love you. They love to watch you wrestle. How would you like to play the heroine of a story? My heart leaped like a giant, disgusting frog. First of all, Cleon told the truth. The crowds at wrestling exhibitions had grown to cheer for me, to stop me in the streets and ask for a moment of my time, to praise me for my talent and exceptional looks. Women and girls in particular screamed in joy whenever I won. Everyone in the league had noticed. Time has shown again and again, wherever I go, the center of attention waits for me. I'd like that, I told him. Superb, said Cleon. He stopped wrinkling his nose, adjusting to my smelliness. I'll have you wrestle Menandra first. Stay in the ring after you win, the rest will follow from there. We performed that first exhibition on the morning of the 11th day of the 4th month. Every region in Athenia seems to have its own name for the months. Metronians call the 4th one Tessarion. Regardless, we performed at the Metronium Amphitheater to an audience of 2,000 strong. To begin the proceedings, we wrestlers assembled behind the scenic wall, which sits behind a circular space called the orchestra. The workers had set up the ring in this orchestra. Cleon intended for us to sit behind the wall and wait for our respective matches. As it used to happen, some of us wrestlers would sneak a peek around the edges in order to spectate. We stepped into the audience's line of sight too often, however, which meant they would spot us and start cheering or booing. Cleon fixed this problem after 2 years. He commissioned a new scenic wall for our exhibitions, depicting people and animals whose eyes he then had cut out for us to peep through during exhibitions. Most of the crowd doesn't sit close enough to notice. Those who do might point out to their friends or family, but they don't cause any major problems. From his spot behind us, Cleon marched into the ring, followed by a masked, robed chorus whose members thronged the outside. The master of the ring always wore a long robe, called a himation, with the top pulled down to bear the fruits of his gymnastic labors. He always worked hard on his physique. His emergence provoked loud cheers from the audience, not least of all from the men who envied him. When the roars died down, Cleon said, "Everyone, it's the day you waited for. The day of thews and might," the chorus shouted. "In the sight of the gods, we welcome all of you to this year's first exhibition of the Athenian Wrestling League and the start of the AWL's 9th year. May our reign be prosperous," the chorus said. "Now, people of Metronium, are you ready for war?" "War, war," the audience shouted, clapping their hands and stomping their feet. "Are you ready for extraordinary violence?" "Violence, violence!" Cleon's voice turned guttural. "Are you ready for some wrestling?" The crowd erupted with cheers and cries, throwing their hands, sandals, and jewelry into the air. "The whole known world will shake," the chorus cried. "It will," said Cleon, "with the thunder of battle. Let the immortal gods bear witness, and let the day's wrestling begin." It started with Sarath toppling the mighty Andreas at Ephephor. The colossi smashed each other with fists, tackles, and lariats till Sarath forced his foe to submit to a chokehold. Next came Elytron, the Strangler, versus Pericles, son of Thunder, the firstborn of Cleon. They grappled like lions and struck at each other like snakes. In the end, Pericles lost after a count of 10. Elytron threw him out of the ring, and he failed to recover in time. "Thank the gods there are mats outside of the ring too," Pericles said when he came hobbling back to us. The time arrived for me to confront Menandra. I entered from the right side of the orchestra, she from the left. That woman had a cruel grin on her face, and a look of disdain in her eyes. In the ring, I marched up to her and glared. "Menandra, you have done me a wrong. All the respect and care for you I had as a friend, all of it is gone. Would you like to explain why?" Turning to the crowd, Menandra laughed and shrugged. "Verica, wouldn't it be funnier if you told it?" "It isn't funny at all." Menandra turned back to me, shaking her head. "As it happened, Verica, I made the mistake of telling you, in Athenia, we like to bejewel the statues of our deities and cover them in perfume. So in front of all the other girls, you asked me something you thought mattered." "I didn't ask you anything." "You looked at a statue of Ain and asked, 'Menandra, do they perfume the asses?'" "I did not!" The audience burst into laughter. A handful of people whistled and screamed. Menandra giggled. "You didn't believe me when I said they do, so up you went and took a dog-like sniff." "How dare you?" I said. "Everyone saw you do it. You said you'd never smelled anything so sweet." "Enough of this at once! You're out of control, and I'm going to tackle you so hard it will break the turnbuckle. I will smell your blood before the day is through." "My blood and, what else?" I tackled her to the mat. The bell rang to announce the start of the match. We fought on the ground for a moment with heavy punches and slaps, ignoring the ring judge as much as we could, till he pulled me off her and warned me I'd lose the match if I continued that way. When Menandra climbed to her feet, we fought the more lawful way, trading lariats, kicks, and other attacks. The time came for me to put her away. Menandra staggered, heavy on her feet, dizzied by my onslaught of slaps and throws. With great strides, I ran into the ropes, bounced off of them, jumped into the air, and struck her in the chest with my rushing river dropkick. Menandra soared away and crashed to the mat. I rolled to my feet before I rushed over to pin her. The judge slapped the mat. 1, 2, 3. The bell rang. I prevailed. I sat up and crouched over Menandra while the audience celebrated. I yelled at her, "How does it feel? How does it feel to lie? Do you like it?" In the middle of my victory, after Menandra crawled out of the ring, I stood up. I looked to the sky and raised my fists. Something struck me between the shoulders. I toppled forward and managed to recover before I touched the ropes. The audience answered this unjust attack with either boos or laughter. What in the world had hit me? I turned around to face this new attacker. A cat. A human-shaped cat, covered in white fur, staring at me with lifeless yellow eyes from its oversized head. I almost laughed along with the audience. Was this thing serious? It stepped toward me and shed an entire sheet of fur from under its armpit. Judging from the trail behind it, the cat had started shedding from the moment it set foot towards the ring. The poor thing had mange. Before I could say anything, the cat pointed at me. Prepare for a scratching! I am the very cat of the sorcerer, the man who wishes to drive you from this land. No more shall a barbarian live in Metronium. So says my master. Your heathenish ways must come to an end, along with you yourself, Varrica. I couldn't muster a challenge in time. The cat seized my head, ran with me a few steps, and destroyed me with a cutter. By the time I recovered my wits, the fiend had vanished. The ring judge escorted me to the scenic wall. Beside me, the audience applauded and cheered for me, even though I'd suffered a strange humiliation. I pondered the questions this awful cat had brought me. Who was its master? I hadn't, to my knowledge, offended a local sorcerer. If I had, couldn't he have approached me to talk the matter through? Wasn't that the civilized way? Besides, if this sorcerer wanted me killed, couldn't he have sicked a big dog on me or hidden a scorpion in my boot? So many questions, so few answers. Never mind, I thought. If some oversized talking cat wanted to stab at me, it could have it. I would get back in the ring and pound that pussy. Thank you for listening to the first chapter of Suplex and Sorcery by June Orchid Parker. The crowdfund for this and 3 other novellas launches at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, September 9th. You can find it by following the link in the description for this video or going to BackerKit and searching for New Edge Sword and Sorcery novellas. I promise you, it's the only one. If you're hearing this video before the crowdfund launches, I would still recommend looking it up because you can learn some more details in the sign-up page and sign up to be alerted the moment the crowdfund launches. If you're hearing this after it ends at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, September 30th, if you're hearing this later, I would say go to brackenburybooks.com and you should be able to find where you can pre-order the book or just order it, depending on how far in the future you're hearing my words. Hell yeah, brother! Thanks for listening, and do keep an eye out for first chapter readings from the other 3 books in the crowdfund.